If you wake up at 3 a.m. with a racing mind and an alert body, unable to fall back asleep, you're not alone. Sleep science explains this may not actually be insomnia. What feels like a sleep disorder can be something happening inside the brain. Your nervous system may be activating a protective response at night. This state is called the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. It's a biological reaction, not a personal weakness, and understanding this can change how you see your sleep. After 40, the brain becomes more sensitive to nighttime safety signals. Melatonin release can shift as the circadian rhythm changes. Cortisol may rise earlier, increasing nighttime alertness. When this happens, the sleep switch may not stay fully active. Your body feels tired and ready for rest, but your brain remains watchful and awake. This creates a conflict between fatigue and alertness. Experts in sleep health call this a hyperactive brain at night. The nervous system stays in subtle vigilance instead of relaxing. Deep restoration becomes harder to maintain. Sleep turns light, fragmented, and easily interrupted. These awakenings are not random events. They reflect a biological process inside the brain. To understand why this happens, we must look at what the brain is protecting you from. I'm Dr. Sarah, a sleep medicine specialist with a background in psychiatry. For years, I've studied why people wake in the middle of the night. This is especially common after 40, when the brain changes. The nervous system becomes more sensitive to internal signals. The circadian rhythm also becomes easier to disrupt. Many people believe something is wrong with their sleep, but science reveals a very different explanation. Studies show fragmented sleep often happens when the brain enters a protective alert state. This state is not a disorder or a personal failure. It's a biological response controlled by the nervous system. The brain constantly monitors safety, even during sleep. When it detects possible threat, it increases alertness. This can interrupt deep rest and trigger sudden awakenings. The experience feels confusing, but the process is natural. Sleep science explains that this response involves multiple systems working together. The brain, hormones, and nervous system communicate all night. Melatonin signals the body to rest and recover. Cortisol regulates alertness and survival responses. When this balance shifts, sleep can become unstable. The brain may struggle to maintain the deep sleep signal. As a result, the sleep switch may not stay fully activated. Many people I've worked with describe the same experience. They fall asleep without much difficulty at the beginning of the night, but hours later, they suddenly wake up fully alert. Their body feels tired, yet their mind becomes active. This creates frustration, confusion, and emotional stress. They try to relax, but the brain remains vigilant. Understanding this is the first step toward change. Research in sleep health continues to show one consistent pattern. The brain prioritizes protection over deep rest when safety feels uncertain. This protective state is known as the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. It can prevent the nervous system from fully relaxing at night. It can also weaken the stability of natural sleep cycles. This is why sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented, and why many people wake at the same time each night. In this video, I'll explain what happens inside your brain at night. You'll understand why your sleep becomes lighter over time. You'll learn how the nervous system influences your awakenings, and you'll discover how to help restore your natural deep sleep signal safely. But before we talk about solutions, there's something important to understand. You need to see what actually happens inside the brain during these awakenings, because the true cause begins with a powerful biological mechanism. You may recognize this experience in your own life. You feel exhausted throughout the entire day. Your body carries a constant sense of fatigue. At night, you fall asleep without much difficulty. Everything seems normal at the beginning, but then something unexpected happens hours later. You suddenly wake up around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Your mind becomes active the moment you wake. Thoughts begin moving quickly through your head. Your body feels tense, alert, and uncomfortable. A subtle sense of vigilance takes over your system. You try to relax, but rest feels distant. Sleep becomes shallow, light, or fragmented, and returning to sleep feels almost impossible. This experience creates confusion and frustration. Many people start blaming themselves for these awakenings. They believe they are doing something wrong. They question their habits, discipline, or mental state. But sleep science explains a very different reality. This is not weakness or personal failure, and most importantly, this is not your fault. What you're experiencing is a brain safety response. It's a biological alert mechanism in the nervous system. Your brain is designed to protect you at all times. Even during sleep, it constantly scans for danger. When it senses uncertainty, it increases alertness. This automatic response can interrupt deep rest, and the brain chooses protection over recovery. From a survival perspective, this makes sense. The brain prefers to keep you alert rather than vulnerable. It does not distinguish real threats from subtle signals. Small internal changes can trigger this protective state. Hormonal shifts, stress signals, or circadian disruption can activate this protective state. The nervous system reacts instantly to maintain safety, and deep sleep becomes secondary. Your brain believes it must remain watchful through the night. It keeps the body in a quiet alertness. This prevents full relaxation and deep restoration. Sleep becomes shallow, light, or fragmented, and returning to sleep feels almost impossible. Understanding this protective reaction changes everything. But to truly understand why this happens at night, we need to explore what triggers this protective response inside the brain. During healthy sleep, the body follows a precise biological rhythm. Melatonin levels naturally rise as night begins. This hormone signals the brain that it's safe to rest. At the same time, cortisol remains low and stable. The nervous system shifts into a calm, restorative state. Breathing slows and muscle tension decreases. The brain allows deep physical and mental restoration. In this balanced state, the sleep switch remains fully activated. The brain moves smoothly through natural sleep cycles. The deep sleep signal supports cellular repair and recovery. Memory processing and hormonal regulation take place. The body restores energy and strengthens the immune system. The nervous system remains relaxed and stable. This is how healthy, uninterrupted sleep normally occurs. But when sleep fragments in the middle of the night, this balance changes. Cortisol may begin rising earlier than expected. The brain receives signals associated with alertness. Melatonin signaling can become weakened or unstable. The nervous system shifts out of its relaxed state. Subtle tension returns to the body. The brain begins increasing vigilance. When this happens, the brain may detect a possible threat. This threat does not need to be real or external. Internal changes alone can trigger the response. The sleep switch struggles to remain fully activated. Deep sleep becomes difficult to maintain. The brain prioritizes protection over restoration. Alertness replaces deep recovery. The result is a protective biological reaction. Your brain blocks deep sleep as a safety measure. It keeps part of the nervous system on guard. This creates sudden awakenings and fragmented sleep cycles. The body remains tired while the mind becomes alert. This response is automatic and outside conscious control. It is the brain attempting to protect you. Sleep science explains this protective state clearly. It is known as the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. This mechanism keeps the brain in nighttime defense mode. It prevents full activation of deep restorative sleep. Understanding this process reveals why awakenings repeat. But what causes the brain to trigger this response so easily, and why does it become stronger over time? Imagine your brain like a nighttime security system. Its main job is to keep you safe while you sleep. Throughout the night, it constantly scans your internal state. It checks signals from the body and nervous system. It evaluates hormonal balance and environmental cues. If everything feels stable, it allows deep rest. If not, it activates protection. When the brain feels safe, sleep flows naturally. The nervous system relaxes into recovery mode. Breathing becomes slower and more regular. The body begins repair and restoration processes. The deep sleep signal activates fully. Energy is restored and the mind resets. This is how healthy sleep should function. But when the brain senses danger, even without real danger, things change. The security system keeps its alarms active. Vigilance quietly increases inside the nervous system. The body shifts into a subtle alert state. Muscles remain slightly tense and responsive. The mind becomes more sensitive to stimulation. Sleep becomes light and easily interrupted. This reaction does not require an actual external threat. Small internal changes can trigger the same response. Hormonal fluctuations may signal uncertainty. Circadian rhythm disruptions can confuse the brain. Stress signals from the body may increase alertness. The brain reacts automatically to maintain safety. Protection always comes before deep rest. The Neural Sleep Inhibition Response is this invisible alarm. It keeps the brain in nighttime defense mode. It prevents full activation of the sleep switch. It reduces the stability of deep sleep signal. This creates awakenings, fragmented sleep, and mental alertness. Different people experience different symptoms, but the underlying biological mechanism is the same. Some people wake suddenly at 3 a.m. each night. Others struggle to fall asleep from the beginning. Many experience light, unrefreshing sleep for years. Different patterns can appear in different individuals, yet the same protective system drives them all. Understanding this mechanism reveals why sleep feels blocked. But what happens when this response continues night after night? When this nighttime brain alert state continues over time, the effects grow stronger. The body never reaches full restoration during sleep cycles. You may experience constant fatigue throughout the day. Even after many hours in bed, energy feels limited. The brain does not complete its natural recovery process. This creates a persistent sense of physical and mental exhaustion. Rest never feels complete. Focus and mental clarity also begin to decline. Simple tasks may require more effort than before. Memory becomes less sharp and attention weakens. The mind feels slower and easily overwhelmed. Low morning energy becomes part of daily life. Waking up feels heavy instead of refreshing. The body struggles to fully recharge overnight. Emotional balance can also be affected by fragmented sleep. The nervous system remains in a state of tension. Small challenges may feel more intense than usual. Patience decreases and irritability may increase. A sense of emotional exhaustion slowly develops. You may feel drained without knowing why. The feeling of never truly resting becomes familiar. Sleep science explains the brain is not failing in these moments. It is trying to protect you through constant vigilance. The nervous system maintains alertness as a safety strategy. Protection becomes the brain's priority over deep recovery. This response is automatic and deeply biological. Your brain believes it is helping you survive, but this protection comes at the cost of restoration. When the brain never receives clear safety signals, sleep remains unstable. The sleep switch struggles to stay fully activated. Melatonin rhythms may weaken further over time. Cortisol patterns may continue shifting earlier each night. Deep sleep cycles cannot stabilize under these conditions. the neural sleep inhibition response remains active and the cycle of fragmented sleep repeats. The good news is that the brain can relearn safety. The nervous system can gradually reduce its alert response. Healthy sleep signals can be restored with the right conditions. The deep sleep signal can become stable again. This process works with the brain's natural biology. But for this to happen, the brain must receive specific signals, and understanding those signals is where the solution begins to emerge. Experts in sleep health explain that restoring healthy sleep begins with the brain. The goal is not to force the body into unconsciousness. Instead, the process focuses on restoring natural biological balance. Sleep depends on communication between the brain and the body. Hormones, nervous system activity, and circadian rhythm must align. When these systems work together, sleep becomes stable. When they don't, the brain maintains nighttime alertness. One essential step is rebalancing melatonin and cortisol patterns. Melatonin signals the body that it is safe to rest. Cortisol regulates alertness and survival responses. When cortisol rises too early, sleep becomes fragile. When melatonin signaling weakens, deep rest is disrupted. Restoring this hormonal balance helps the brain relax. The nervous system can then reduce its defensive state. Calming the nervous system is another key principle. The brain constantly monitors internal tension and stimulation. If the body remains in subtle stress, vigilance continues. Reducing this internal alertness supports deeper recovery. The brain begins lowering its protective defenses. This helps reduce the neural sleep inhibition response. Safety becomes the dominant signal instead of threat. Stabilizing the circadian rhythm also plays a central role. The brain depends on consistent biological timing. Irregular rhythms confuse sleep and alertness signals. When internal timing becomes predictable, the brain relaxes. The sleep switch can remain active throughout the night. This allows deeper and more continuous sleep cycles. Restoration becomes more efficient and consistent. As these systems stabilize, the deep sleep signal strengthens. The brain allows the body to enter full restoration. Repair processes activate more deeply and consistently. Energy production and mental recovery improve. Sleep becomes less fragmented and more restorative. This process works gradually with natural physiology. The brain relearns that nighttime is safe again. This approach is not about forcing sleep or using sedation. It does not shut down the brain artificially. It supports the body's own regulatory systems. The goal is helping the brain feel safe enough to sleep. When safety is restored, sleep happens naturally. But what many people don't realize is that one critical factor, often ignored, determines whether these signals truly work. That's why many people are now turning to a doctor-approved natural sleep support. This approach is designed to work with the brain's nighttime biology. Instead of forcing sleep, it supports natural internal processes. It aligns with how the brain regulates rest and recovery. Sleep science explains that the brain responds to supportive signals. When the right conditions are present, alertness decreases naturally. The nervous system can gradually return to balance. This type of support helps promote healthy melatonin balance. Melatonin plays a central role in signaling nighttime safety. When its release becomes stable, the brain relaxes more easily. The body receives clearer signals that it's time to rest. This helps stabilize the circadian rhythm over time. The sleep switch can remain active for longer periods. Deep sleep becomes easier to maintain through the night. It also helps regulate early cortisol spikes. Cortisol is essential for alertness and protection, but when it rises too early, sleep becomes fragile. Balancing cortisol supports deeper nighttime recovery. the brain reduces unnecessary vigilance during sleep cycles. This helps lower the neural sleep inhibition response. Protection no longer overrides restoration. Another important effect is calming the nervous system. The body shifts away from constant internal tension. Signals of safety become stronger than signals of threat. The brain gradually reduces its nighttime alert state. This supports activation of the deep sleep signal. Sleep becomes more stable and restorative. The body can complete its natural recovery process. This approach is not a sleeping pill and does not force shutdown. It does not sedate the brain or override its function. Instead, it supports the body's natural sleep regulation. The process works with physiology, not against it. This makes the experience feel more natural and sustainable. The goal is helping the brain restore its normal rhythm. Safety and balance become the foundation of sleep. If you want to learn more about this natural support, it's available in the first pinned comment below this video. There, you can explore how it supports nighttime biology. You can understand how it works with the nervous system. But before deciding if this approach is right for you, there's something important you need to understand first. You must see why so many people unknowingly worsen their sleep each night. When the brain receives proper nighttime safety signals, changes begin to appear. People often report fewer awakenings during the night. Sleep cycles become deeper and more consistent. The nervous system remains calmer for longer periods. The body enters more stable restorative phases. Nighttime interruptions gradually decrease over time. Rest begins to feel more complete and natural. Many also experience deeper sleep cycles throughout the night. The deep sleep signal becomes stronger and more consistent. The sleep switch remains active for longer periods. The brain allows full physical and mental restoration. Recovery processes function more efficiently. The body repairs and recharges at a deeper level. Sleep becomes more refreshing and stable. Calmer nights often lead to noticeable daytime improvements. Morning energy becomes more stable and predictable. Mental clarity and focus gradually improve. The nervous system feels less tense throughout the day. Emotional balance becomes easier to maintain. The body feels more rested after waking. These changes reflect natural biological recovery. Nothing artificial is forcing these results to happen. There is no shutdown of brain function or sedation. The process simply supports the body's natural physiology. Sleep science explains the brain responds to safety signals. When protection is no longer required, vigilance decreases. The nervous system allows deeper restoration. The body returns to its natural sleep rhythm. It's important to remember something essential about this process. You are not broken, and your body is not failing. Your brain is responding to what it perceives as threat. This protective reaction is part of human biology. The nervous system is trying to keep you safe. Understanding this removes unnecessary self-blame. Sleep difficulties are not a personal weakness. When the brain senses safety again, sleep follows naturally. The neural sleep inhibition response begins to reduce. The body allows deeper and more stable rest. Recovery becomes consistent and sustainable. But to maintain these improvements long-term, there is one final step many people overlook, and understanding this step is what brings everything together. If you want to understand step by step how to reduce the neural sleep inhibition response, there is a clear path forward. Your brain can restore healthy sleep cycles when given the right signals. This process works with your natural biology, not against it. Sleep science explains that change begins with understanding. When you know what affects your brain at night, control becomes possible. The nervous system can relearn calm and stability, and deeper sleep can gradually return. To continue learning how this process works, watch the next video. It will appear at the end of this one for you. There, you'll discover what truly happens inside the brain at night. You'll see why the nervous system maintains alertness during sleep. You'll also learn what interrupts deep restoration cycles. This knowledge helps you understand your own sleep patterns, and it reveals what your brain needs to feel safe. In the next video, you'll learn what triggers the brain's safety response at night. You'll understand how subtle internal signals activate vigilance. You'll discover how circadian rhythm changes after 40. These changes affect melatonin release and cortisol timing. They influence how long the sleep switch remains active. They also explain why awakenings often repeat at the same time. Understanding these patterns can transform your approach to sleep. You'll also learn the exact signals that help reactivate the sleep switch. These signals support the nervous system's return to balance. They help stabilize the deep sleep signal naturally. The brain responds when it receives consistent safety cues. This allows deeper recovery and more stable sleep cycles. The process is gradual, gentle, and biologically guided. It works by supporting the brain's natural design. There is no pressure and no unrealistic promises involved, only science-based guidance grounded in sleep physiology. The goal is helping your brain function as it was designed. Natural sleep emerges when safety replaces vigilance. Your body already knows how to restore deep rest. It simply needs the right conditions to do so, and understanding those conditions is the next step. So if you're ready to understand your sleep more deeply, continue watching. The next video will guide you through the process clearly. You'll see how nighttime biology shapes your rest each night. You'll learn how small changes can influence brain safety signals, and you'll begin to understand what your brain truly needs. Because once the brain feels safe enough to let go, everything about sleep begins to change.